We're going off road, way back off the highway.
What's up, guys? Help us reach our goal of 500 subs by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, like, comment, and share.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Average Jeepers. I'm Topher, and today we're going to cover the cheap ways that you can lift your XJ. If you're new to the channel and you want to lift your XJ, make sure you subscribe because we upload weekly so you can catch all the tips and tricks that we got on all your Jeeps. We got you covered. Make sure you hit subscribe. We're covering the cheap ways. Of course, if you come across a really good deal on like a lift kit or something, or someone's extra parts that they got to lift and you get their old parts to lift yours. I mean, it just depends on the circumstances, whether, you know, how much it's going to cost. So let's start with spring isolators. Okay, so these, if you look on top of your spring, you'll see that there's an isolator on your dick. Well, on the dick there, if you can get those, they're 3/4 of an inch thick. You can get those from the junkyard, you can get those from an auto parts store, but you do the math. They're 3/4 of an inch thick. You can stack those on top of each other, and that's one way that you can get a little bit of lift out of your truck. Okay, so another way that you can do it is you can go get OBS F-150 springs. I've never done this. Of course, this ride's going to be a little rough because they're stronger springs. They're made for a heavier truck, but they'll give you a little bit of lift. And I've never done it before, but I've heard that it's a rough ride. You have to do a little bit of cutting, I think, on the inside of the spring. Do a little bit more research if you're going to go this route. Also, man, all these parts you can pretty much swap and do whatever you want with any of these ways to lift it. You know what I mean? You can combine them. Like, say you want to do the front one way and the back another way. You know, obviously, if you got the money, I would suggest going and getting a lift kit or piecing together a lift kit. Maybe we'll make a video on what all you need to piece together a lift kit. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see something like that. But, you know, and keep in mind too, when you lift your truck up, it's going to put the body of your truck off-centered from the tires. So you're going to have to adjust your track bar. And the two ways to do this, you can either get an adjustable track bar or you can drill your hole over like this and move it over. That's the cheapest way to do it. I recommend getting an adjustable track bar because when you move the hole over like this, as you can see, you're right towards the edge, and there's not much metal between, you know, the bolt hole and where the bolt is. Another popular one to get a few inches is spring spacers, kind of like the isolation pads, but these just go on top of your spring and they provide a little bit of space so your spring sits on top of them. And they're kind of like a beefier version of that, and they make us several different styles. But you can get a few inches doing that. That's a cheap way to do it. Also, you can take Thunderbird from the 90s, the Thunderbird springs, but you need the isolation plate or the strut plate on the top. Make sure that you can get the V8 or the V6. The V6 are a softer ride is what they say. And then once again, man, you can go on the internet and you can find some springs. So say the springs, because you got to do more than just springs, you know. You got to move your track bar, you got to get your springs, you need shocks, you got to lift the back, you're going to need to do something with your brake lines, like a transfer case drop. There's other things you got to do depending on how much you go up. So that pretty much covers. You can get a ZJ, a Grand Cherokee V8. Get those springs. Those springs will provide you 1 inch of lift, so you can go that route. So that pretty much covers the front. Let's get on to the rear. Okay, so you know, if you're gonna go with a spring spacer, you could also go with a block on the back of your leaf springs. They go between your axle and your leaf springs. You'll see them right here. You also need to get longer U-bolts to go over your axle and hold your plate down. So make sure that you get those too. If you get the blocks, a lot of times they come with them. Just make sure when you get them, that's the way to go. So I'd say that's probably the cheapest. You could probably, for 60 bucks, you could probably get blocks and spring spacers, and you have 2.5 inches of lift for under 100 bucks. So that's probably the cheapest, unless you get, like I said, you get a deal. Most of these things, other than the blocks and stuff, you can find in the junkyard. So really, you know, who knows what you can pay and how cheap you can get this. You could probably find these parts from somebody. You might even be able to get this whole thing for free. And like I said, if you come across somebody with a really good deal on a lift, you can jump on it. Let's talk about shackles. You can get shackles. They sell these at the auto parts store. They go from your unibody down to your leaf springs, and they'll provide you with a little bit of lift, and they change the angle. And a lot of them have 3 different settings that you can put them on, just depending on the kind that you get. So do a little research on that if that's the route you're going to go. And keep in mind you can combine some of these. So you can put shackles and a block, and but the higher you go, I wouldn't recommend going more than 3 inches, because once you start doing more than that, you're going to have some other problems with your pinion angle and stuff like that. So if you're just trying to clear, some 33s or something, you can probably clear them with a couple inches of lift. You can do the blocks, whatever you guys want to do. Leave in the comments. Let me know how you guys, the cheapest way, the ghettoest way y'all ever lifted your Jeep. I got a hair in my eye. Now there's another thing you can do called a bastard pack, and what you do with this is you take a S10 or a Dodge Dakota, you take the leaf springs, you cut the eyes off of them, and you take your main leaf spring from your XJ. You're going to re-drill the center hole, put a new center bolt in it, and you're going to clamp the S10 or the Dakota springs to your main leaf spring, and that'll provide you with a little bit of lift. There's a lot of information on the internet about these bastard packs. I have one on my Jeep. Great way if you can get a good deal on them to get a good bit of lift on it. Once you do that, now you need to extend your brake lines on the front. We talked about this. Your factory ones have a little offset in them. If you straighten them out like this, you can see where it used to be. You put it right there. Boom. Provide you with a little bit. Or you can get some Chevy 1500 brake lines. They're a little longer and they fit right on. Just bolt them on. Good to go. Sway bars. Okay, so we don't really rock sway bars depending on your state. Some states require you to have sway bars. So obviously the cheapest option is get rid of them things. Toss them to the side. The ZJs are good for 5 inches, they say, if you get some ZJ sway bars. I'm not really sure if that's the front or the back. Like I said, you'll have to do a little bit of research on that, but they do say that the ZJ ones will fit. Along with that, the stock ones they say are good for 3 inches, so you can leave your stock ones. And if you don't know what sway bars are, they essentially, when you lift your Jeep, obviously you are taller, so you're more top heavy, so when you take turns and stuff, the sway bars keep it stiff so it don't have as much body roll. Of course, it also limits on your flex, so a lot of people have quick disconnect ones that'll come with the lift kit. If you buy a nice one, it'll have them. I'd rather have some other components that they come with. Get rid of the sway bars. You have some here, those are pretty cheap to make. But anyway, yeah, you disconnect them when you go off road and you reconnect them when you get on road. But a lot of people get lazy, and after a while they'll never reconnect them, and they'll just be unconnected because they got used to driving without them. Let's talk about shocks. Okay, so the good thing is the factory shocks they say are good for about 2 inches. So if you're not going to do much, maybe you got 31s or something, you're just trying to get a little bit of lift, the stock ones are good. You can get the ZJ shocks, and they're good for about 2 inches of lift. So, they're about the same. I don't even see why you would do that. F250 shocks, you can get shocks, you can kind of adapt a lot of them to work. So, plus shocks aren't that expensive. So, also, you're going to need a transfer case drop if you're going more than, I'd say, 2 inches. I'd probably put, and depending on the vibrations of the drive line, you might want to put a transfer case drop on. You can make one of these yourself like this, or you can buy them. They're pretty inexpensive. They're 20 bucks. Remember, guys, you probably get what you pay for, so don't be too upset if this isn't like, it's not gonna ride as good as if you spend a bunch of money on a lift. I think that you know that already. But hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, please give this video the thumbs up. If it didn't help you out, give it a thumbs up anyway. Why not, huh? Don't forget to come back because we upload weekly. I've been busy this week, so we haven't gotten too many videos up, but hopefully you decide on the way that you're going to lift your XJ, and maybe one of these ways will help you out if you're on a budget. If you're not, like I said, I would look into either piecing your things together. Also with the front springs, man, you can find them on eBay and Amazon for pretty cheap. So you could just buy the springs and then you could do all the other stuff that we said that was cheap and eventually start replacing the parts. Or just save up for a lift. Either way, I don't know. Whatever you want to do, it's your Jeep. Do what makes you happy. That's the important thing. Remember that. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.